So hello and welcome to Handmade Chelsea Online, another live exhibitor session. My name is Alice and I'm a part of the Handmade in Britain team. It gives me great pleasure to introduce photographer Richard Hayward, who is going to be doing a slideshow of his images that he's currently got on sale with us here at Handmade Chelsea Online. So Richard, I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm looking forward to a really lovely question and answer session with you.
Okay. I did send some questions over to you yesterday. I don't know if you received those at all.
I did. I have them in front of me, so I can just bring them up. Would you like me to start with them?
Yeah, if you just want to go through those, and effectively gather some into it.
Not a problem. So Richard, thank you for joining us this afternoon. So how long have you been taking photographs for?
A very long time. I got my first, what I call proper camera, a lovely little Pentax MX for my 21st birthday. And very soon after that was completely hooked with the whole concept of photography. I learned how to process and print black and white photographs, and that was my first love and continues to be my main interest with photography, although now I have to say I now use digital, but have gone back recently to using film as well, because there is a tactile quality with it that I just love.
Wonderful. So how did you learn your craft?
Well, the person who was partly responsible for suggesting that I get the camera, a very close friend of mine, also helped me learn the craft of processing film and printing film, which I used to do in my home darkroom very late into the evening and early hours of the morning. And it just, the pure alchemy of getting a piece of paper, getting a bowl of chemical, putting a blank piece of paper into that, after you've exposed it to light and the image, and seeing an image come out of that blank piece of paper is just absolutely magical. And I still have all of my darkroom equipment up in the loft. I have to say, I don't have anywhere where I can set it up at the moment. So my darkroom very much now is my Mac, and Photoshop is the main tool that I use.
So looking at the photos here, what's your inspiration?
I tend to prefer images that haven't been staged, and I like to come across images going out at various times of the day, just to observe the different lighting conditions, and just really to look mainly for shapes, form, texture. I like to shoot into the light, which is something that any photography book will tell you not to do. So for me, rules are there to be bent, if not broken. And I just like to observe the world around me and to pick out little details of it. And the one in front of you at the moment, the rope on that just reminds me of tendrils of hair. And it's those little details that I like to get. So I do like a lot of black in my images, and I like a nice amount of contrast. But then again, as with this one here, I like things that are very, very soft, but very simple compositions that just draw you in.
So you said that you like quite dark, quite black imagery. So, you know, what is it really about black and white photography, you know, that draws you in, and you know, that media of choice that we can see in front of us?
Well, I don't know if it was growing up in the 60s with the black and white TV, or the first photographs I ever became aware of in newspapers and magazines were generally black and white at the time. But there's a quality about black and white which removes you one step from reality. You're not distracted by colours within the image, and you're looking clearly at the forms and the shapes and the textures in front of you. And as this one shows, I love curves. So curves in every shape and size, and I'll try and get into photographs if there is a possibility of doing that. The one in front of you is in colour. I do take everything in colour when I'm using digital, and once I've got the image in front of me, I decide whether it will be colour or whether it will be black and white. But with the colour compositions I do, I tend to find that there aren't that many colours within them, and they have their own sort of monochromatic feel within the image itself.
So we can see you've got lots of different, subject matter, running throughout, your slideshow that you're presenting. I mean, what do you aim to evoke, through and, even, within your photographs?
What I'm looking for is some sort of feeling to come from them. When I'm looking at any type of artwork, what I want is something just to hit me in the chest so that I've got immediate reaction to that piece of work that I'm looking at. I'm not really too worried about needing to intellectualize everything. I just want what I'm showing, principally myself initially, and then to others. I want it to just strike a chord with them, and but for the viewer to get some sort of feeling from that photograph.
So, throughout not only the collection that you're presenting us with here, but also through collections of past, what would you say is your most successful, photograph, and how did that come about?
Well, the most successful one I've had to date is the Swan, and that was a photograph taken probably 11 years ago, I think, for the first solo exhibition I had locally. And it just was one of the main photographs that worked extremely well from that collection. And I immediately started to sell copies of that photograph, and I've done it in a various range of sizes. And it has been one of those photographs where people have come along and it's just been an impulsive purchase. As soon as they've seen it, it's struck a chord with them, and they've decided they've got to have it. The highlight for me came when I entered the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition in 2019, and I entered that photograph along with one other one. The other one didn't get through. The Swan did get through, and to see that in that wonderful building, in that exhibition, was the highlight, and that did generate an awful lot of interest, and it confirmed or affirmed that that is the best-selling photograph that I do have.
Well, congratulations, for being selected, for 2019. So kind of going back, you said you've got all your darkroom equipment, hidden in the loft. So who actually goes about, printing these for you, and, why did you choose them? And how is that process of you, choosing the, the paper, matte, shiny, thick, thin? Do you have a hand in that, from the start?
No, most definitely. I was introduced to the paper that is my paper of choice by a printer who contacted me out of the blue, who lived about 10 miles from me. And normally when I get emails from people touting for business, I'm not too interested in it, but I thought, no, I'll find out a bit more. And he introduced me to this paper stock, and I haven't looked back since. It's a beautiful giclée high art paper made by a company called Handmade. Photo rag is the paper type, so it's ideally suited for photographs. And when the imagery comes back, it is a very matte looking photograph. And my initial view of it, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be as soon as it comes back to me. But as soon as I take it to my printer, he puts a mount board around it, it elevates the photograph. And the final stage is with a piece of glass on the front. Images just pop. And the level of detail, the contrast is just, to my mind, absolutely fabulous. And I have had people that have been around when we've been open for open studios, come in, have a look at the photographs, go out, come back and say, would you like to buy an enlarger? And I've had to say, look, they're not wet prints, they are inkjet giclée prints. But the company I use now is the Print Space, based in Hayward, and they do printing exhibitions all over the world, and the quality is second to none. So it's an awful lot more expensive than other types of paper, but I won't compromise on that because it reflects what I want to see in the finished piece.
I think that comes across really well, not only on screen but within, within the shop itself. So you've got a vast collection. You've talked about, your swan being, one of your favourite, if not, one of, the best that you have. Well, tell me about some of the. So you've got some images, within the collection. Are there any kind of hidden stories behind some of those pictures? One of my favourite ones that you have is of the moon, this beautiful white bright moon, and that really contrasting deep black. But do you have any stories behind how you ended up taking some of these that we can see on Handmade online?
Yeah, no, the moon group of us from Wivenhoe went on a fantastic holiday to Egypt last year, and we went on a lovely traditional sailing boat down the Nile, and there were only spaces for 12 people. 8 of us from Wivenhoe went, so there were only another 4 people that we either were going to get on with or they were going to be completely put off by us. But thankfully, we all had a brilliant time. But whilst we were there, the moon came up full one night, and this was taken the night after, I believe. It's only very slightly off full moon. But I didn't have a tripod with me. I did have plenty of equipment with me, but it took an age to get that photograph. I took so many because ordinarily my camera has autofocus, but with the 2x converter I put on the lens to get as close to the moon as I could meant that I lost autofocus, and I was balancing against an upright post on the boat, holding my breath, and just trying to get it as sharp as I could do. And it did take an awfully long time, but I had managed to print that photograph at a size of 3 foot by 2 foot for my daughter for her birthday this year. And it does work very, very well at that size. That's not a size I offer at Handmade, but with all the photographs that I have got on show, I can print at whatever size people want.
In the majority of the photos that you have, there are no people. It's very much, what I can see is a very stillness, a very calmness to your photos. How important is that, or is that just, on repetition that's coming up, or is that something you go to achieve a very still and calm and peaceful being, within your photographs?
That's a very, very good observation. I'm not consciously looking for something that's still and calm, although I think now that you've mentioned it, that does form part of what I'm after, because when I am taking photographs of landscapes or cityscapes, I generally am looking to try and get them without people, although the one on the screen at the moment has got people in it. But generally, that's what I am looking to do. And it's just to concentrate on whatever is in front of me at the time. I do take people photographs, but I tend to put those in a different box to the one that is the ones that you're seeing at the moment.
And finally, I can see we're coming to the end of our time. I see great contrast between straight lines and natural forms. We just saw, the pyramids there with these beautiful movement of the sky and their straight lines. We've just seen some straight lines again in a close-up. Do you think, again, that comes across as straight lines, up against a natural form? Here we have the water moving, but then the very straight lines of that ladder, the man-made straight lines of my words have escaped me there, like the walkway. Is that something, or is that again just something that I've picked up, or again is that something that you like, the contrast between very natural and then something that's very straight and man-made?
I think the one that you're looking at the moment with the boat, that one, it's just the contrast there of the curves, the beautiful curves of the boat. You've got the harshness and the grittiness of the stones on the beach. And I just wanted a part of that. I didn't need to show the whole boat, but you certainly get a feeling of texture that comes across in that photograph. But I do just look for lines, be they curved, be they straight and angled. It is those things that I am attracted to because of the shapes they form. and I do like to play around with the focus in images. So the one of the beach huts here, the post in the foreground and the grass is sharp, but the beach huts themselves are slightly out of focus. Same with the boat. You'll see as you look towards the top of the picture, the stones fade into a blur, and that's just to draw your eye to the main part of the image in the front. And the same with the steps here. The building in the back is slightly out of focus, just to draw you to the front. Hello?
Yeah. No, that's wonderful, Richard. Don't worry.
My screen just popped.
No, thanks. So I was looking because you mentioned right at the start that obviously curves form. So we've seen two contrasting steps. We've seen it up the stone spiral with the wood, and then that was obviously inside, and then we've seen a contrast being outside, you know, with the metal there, and again that slight curve. So I can see that, you know, through, you know, your imagery as well. So Richard, we have come to the end now of your session. So I'd like to say thank you so much for your time and for, you know, going through your collection and hearing some of the stories and the processes and inspirations that you have, and you know, can continue to show us, you know, through your Handmade online shop. And I'd like to also say thank you very much to all of our attendees this afternoon. Remember, this is interactive, so I have popped Richard's link to his shop within the chat function, so please do click on there, and you can also go on to interact.handmadeinbritain.co.uk where you can find Richard's work along with all of our exhibitors. And we also have live chat, so afterwards do go to live chat, go into Richard's room and you can ask him some questions, and again that's via our website. So once again, Richard, thank you so much for your time, and from myself and the team at Handmade in Britain, we hope you've enjoyed your live session, and good luck over the next couple of days. All right.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you. Bye-bye.